Quantum Philosophy, Unlock the Hidden Laws of Reality. Written by Ronnie Rowland. Published by Growth Literacy Lounge. What if everything you thought you knew about reality was only half the story? Imagine, for a moment, that the universe isn't a fixed stage where events play out but a living, breathing co-creator responding to every thought, choice, and belief you hold. This isn't science fiction, it's the frontier where philosophy meets quantum mechanics, where ancient wisdom collides with cutting-edge discoveries to reveal one undeniable truth: you are not just in the universe, you are shaping it. Reality, as you know it, isn't solid. It bends. It shifts. It responds. Yet most of us drift through life convinced we're passengers, unaware that we hold the controls. We are what we repeatedly do, Aristotle once said. Excellence, then, is not an act but a habit. In the same way, the reality you experience isn't random, it's an accumulation of your repeated thoughts, actions, and intentions echoing back to you through the fabric of existence itself. This book is your invitation to step beyond the veil of the ordinary and into the extraordinary. Together, we'll explore how quantum principles, entanglement, superposition, the observer effect, align with timeless philosophical insights to unlock hidden laws that have governed reality since the beginning. Prepare to question everything. To dismantle old beliefs. To see connections where chaos once reigned. Because when you understand the deeper architecture of existence, you stop living reactively and start living deliberately. You are not small. You are not powerless. You are the experiment and the experimenter, the question and the answer. Reality is waiting. Let's unlock it. Chapter 1: The Observer's Awakening. Have you ever wondered if reality notices you noticing it? Imagine standing at the edge of possibility, where the simple act of observing can ripple through existence and shift the outcome itself. It sounds impossible, doesn't it? But quantum physics suggests otherwise. At its core lies a truth so profound it challenges everything we thought we knew. Your awareness isn't just passive, it's participatory. You are not simply watching the universe unfold, you are helping write its script. Think about the observer effect, a phenomenon discovered in the early days of quantum mechanics. Scientists found that particles behave differently when they are observed. At one moment, they exist in infinite possibilities. The next, they collapse into a single outcome, as if reality itself waits for you to pay attention before deciding what to become. The implication is staggering. Your focus shapes form, your intentions mold experience, and your choices set entire chains of events into motion. Yet, most of us live as if we're trapped inside someone else's design, unaware of our influence, repeating patterns inherited from family, culture, and circumstance. But what if life isn't happening to you? What if it's happening through you? The key lies in waking up to the power of your perspective. As Carl Jung once wrote, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. This is not about denying reality, it's about redefining it. The limitations you've believed in aren't concrete walls, they're perceptions, waiting to be rearranged. Once you begin to see yourself not as a bystander but as a co-creator, the rules change. Life stops being a string of random events and begins to reveal its hidden order. The journey ahead isn't about memorizing equations or mastering complex physics. It's about recognizing that everything you experience, every success, setback, and coincidence, carries a deeper pattern. This is where quantum philosophy meets practical transformation. You are both the subject and the scientist, the one asking questions and the one generating answers. Each thought, each intention, each decision sends ripples into the field, returning to you in ways you've yet to imagine. The universe is not fixed. It is fluid, dynamic, and astonishingly responsive to the energy you bring to it. What you call luck, or chance, may just be the alignment of your focus with the possibilities already surrounding you. The more aware you become, the more deliberate your role in this dance. You're not here to control everything, that's not the goal, but to participate consciously in the unfolding. Awakening to this truth is unsettling at first. It forces you to confront the uncomfortable idea that your reality reflects your inner state, that your thoughts and emotions shape far more than you've been taught to believe. But it also grants you unparalleled freedom. If you can influence the field of possibilities, then you can choose new patterns, new outcomes, and even new identities. This chapter isn't here to convince you to blindly believe, it's here to invite your curiosity. Question what you've accepted as unchangeable. Test the edges of your perception. Notice the small shifts when you change your thoughts, your focus, your energy. What you observe begins to observe you back. Reality is not waiting to be discovered. It's waiting to be shaped. The moment you wake up to your role as the observer, the limitations begin to dissolve, and an infinite playground of potential emerges. The journey has already begun. Every glance, every thought, every choice matters more than you've ever been told. Chapter 2: The Illusion of Certainty. What if everything you're certain about is only one version of the truth? We grow up being taught that reality is fixed, that the rules are set, and that life unfolds in straight, predictable lines. But quantum philosophy dares to whisper something radically different. Certainty is an illusion. Beneath the surface of what we call real, possibilities exist in layers, waiting for your awareness to bring them into focus. The ground you walk on feels solid, but at the subatomic level, it's dancing with probabilities. What you assume to be stable is anything but, and that changes everything. You've probably heard the phrase, seeing is believing, but in the quantum world, it's closer to the opposite, believing is seeing. Your assumptions create the frame through which reality takes shape. When you insist something is impossible, you literally filter out the paths that could make it possible. When you expect failure, you find evidence to confirm it. When you expect abundance, the opportunities you once overlooked suddenly reveal themselves. Certainty locks you inside a single storyline, but uncertainty opens the door to infinite ones. Albert Einstein once remarked, "Reality is merely an illusion, albeit a very persistent one." It's a statement that challenges the very foundation of how we think. If reality is an illusion, then whose illusion is it? And how much influence do you truly have over the version you experience? Quantum mechanics suggests that you have more power than you realize, but this power comes with responsibility. Every belief you cling to, every conclusion you draw, acts like a lens shaping how the universe presents itself to you. The trouble is, we're conditioned to seek comfort in absolutes. We crave predictable outcomes because uncertainty feels unsafe. But here's the paradox. The more you try to cling to certainty, the more limited your experience becomes. Possibilities collapse into fewer options, and you mistake the smallest slice of reality for the whole. What if, instead, you could learn to thrive in uncertainty? What if embracing the unknown became the gateway to unlocking greater freedom? Look at the double-slit experiment, one of the most famous demonstrations in quantum physics. Light behaves like a particle when measured, yet like a wave when unmeasured, as if it waits for you to decide what it should be. This means that reality itself doesn't settle into form until you engage with it. If even light, one of the constants of our existence, refuses to be pinned down until observed, why would your life be any different? The boundaries you think are unchangeable may only exist because you've been measuring them with the same expectations over and over again. Once you start questioning your certainty, the narrative of your life begins to open. You're no longer trapped inside. This is how it has to be. You begin to see choice where there used to be constraint, possibility where there used to be walls. And yet, this isn't about rejecting logic or abandoning reason. It's about expanding beyond a single lens. It's about recognizing that your certainty has limits, and beyond those limits lies potential you've never tapped into. Here's the invitation: sit with the unknown. Resist the urge to fill every gap with explanations. Let curiosity replace judgment. Each time you release an absolute, you make space for something new to emerge, a thought, an opportunity, an unexpected path. Certainty might feel safe, but safety can also be a cage. When you allow uncertainty, you begin to participate in reality as it truly is, dynamic, fluid, and alive. Your future isn't written. It's waiting, shimmering just beyond the boundaries of what you're certain about. The more open you become, the more the universe reveals. In uncertainty, life finally starts to expand. Chapter 3: Entangled with Everything. Have you ever felt an unexplainable connection to someone, as if you were part of the same story, even when separated by miles, years, or silence? Quantum physics has a name for this phenomenon: entanglement. Two particles, once linked, continue to influence each other no matter how far apart they drift. Alter one, and the other responds instantly. It's as if the universe refuses to recognize separation. And here's the radical thought: what if the same principle applies to us? The boundaries you think define you, your body, your name, your history, may not be as fixed as they seem. Underneath it all, you're part of a shared field, connected to everyone and everything. Every word you speak, every thought you entertain, every emotion you hold sends ripples into this field. You are not isolated. You are woven into a living network of consciousness, and whether you're aware of it or not, you're constantly participating in the shaping of collective reality. This isn't just poetic, it's observable. When two entangled particles communicate instantly across vast distances, it violates our classical understanding of time and space. But quantum mechanics shows us that reality isn't built on separation, it's built on interconnection. You are influencing and being influenced at every moment. The choices you make reverberate far beyond your awareness, and the energies you hold invite matching experiences into your life. What you think of as coincidence might simply be alignment. It's easy to believe your life exists in a vacuum, that your thoughts and actions are contained within your personal narrative. But look closer, and you'll see the evidence everywhere: the friend who calls the moment you think of them, the stranger who offers help when you most need it, the opportunities that seem to appear out of nowhere once you finally make a decision. These aren't random events. They are echoes, resonances, reminders that the field is always listening. Rumi once wrote, "You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop." Quantum philosophy gives this idea scientific weight. You are both an individual and an expression of the whole. The separation is an illusion, a useful one for navigating daily life, but an illusion nonetheless. Understanding this doesn't make you lose your sense of self, it expands it. It reveals that you're part of something much larger, and with that awareness comes power, responsibility, and freedom. The thoughts you nurture aren't just passing clouds in your private sky, they shape the atmosphere we all breathe. Your anger ripples outward. So does your gratitude. Your fear creates patterns, your love creates possibilities. If particles can respond instantly to each other across galaxies, why wouldn't consciousness, vast, boundless, and interconnected, behave the same way? When you start to live from this awareness, your relationships transform. You stop clinging to control, stop seeing others as separate competitors in a hostile world. Instead, you begin to recognize yourself in everyone and everything around you. Compassion stops being a choice and starts becoming a natural response. You align not by forcing outcomes, but by attuning to the deeper currents beneath the surface. Entanglement teaches us that life isn't happening in fragments. Every moment is connected. Every choice ripples into the whole. You are part of the pattern and also shaping it in real time. Once you understand this, nothing feels small anymore, no decision, no thought, no act of kindness or cruelty. Everything matters. And perhaps that's the greatest revelation quantum philosophy offers: you are never alone, never separate, never insignificant. You are entangled with everything. To change your life is to change the field. To heal yourself is to heal the world. Chapter 4: The Power of Possibility. What if the limits you see in your life are nothing more than choices you've unconsciously agreed to? Every day, you move through the world assuming certain things are fixed: who you are, what you can achieve, what's possible for you. Yet, quantum physics suggests something extraordinary. There are no fixed outcomes, only probabilities waiting for your attention to bring them into form. The life you know isn't carved into stone, it's being written in real time, and you are holding the pen even when you don't realize it. Consider the principle of superposition, where a particle exists in multiple states at once until it is observed. It doesn't choose until you do. This isn't just abstract science, it mirrors your own life. Every decision, every belief, every moment of awareness collapses infinite possibilities into the single version you experience. The version of you who dares, who leaps, who trusts, already exists. So does the version of you who stays small, quiet, and unseen. Which possibility you step into depends on where you place your focus. But here's the paradox. Most people live as if there are no choices at all. We inherit scripts from society, family, and culture that tell us who we should be and what's realistic. Without even noticing, we settle into predictable loops, mistaking them for destiny. The truth is, the boundaries of your life are rarely imposed by the universe, they're reinforced by your expectations. As Wayne Dyer once said, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Possibility isn't unlocked by force, it's revealed through awareness. When you stop clinging to a single storyline, when you allow yourself to believe in options beyond the ones you've always chosen, something remarkable happens. You begin to notice paths you overlooked. You attract synchronicities that align with your deeper desires. You meet people and opportunities that seem to arrive by chance. Yet in reality, you've tuned yourself to a frequency where they've always been waiting. None of this means ignoring challenges or pretending that difficulties don't exist. It means refusing to define yourself by them. Quantum philosophy invites you to recognize that every setback carries the seeds of multiple outcomes. Failure isn't final unless you decide it is. Success isn't impossible unless you believe it is. Your choices, conscious or unconscious, are continuously collapsing waves of probability into your personal reality. So, how do you begin living inside possibility rather than limitation? Start by questioning your assumptions. The thoughts you accept without resistance become the walls of your experience. Ask yourself, what if they're not true? What if the stories you've been told about what's achievable are just that, stories? When you release certainty, you make room for something greater to emerge. There is no single right path you must follow. There are countless ones, all existing in parallel, waiting for you to align with them. You are free to choose again and again, to step into new realities at any moment. The more you trust this, the more expansive your life becomes. The power of possibility isn't about escaping reality, it's about participating in its creation with awareness and intention. You are never stuck. You are never trapped. The version of your life you've always dreamed of already exists, not as a distant fantasy, but as one of many probabilities waiting for you to choose it. The universe is offering you infinite doors. The question is simple: which one will you open? Chapter 5: The Collapse of Limits. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to bend reality in their favor while others remain trapped by circumstance? The answer may not lie in luck or talent but in perspective, specifically, in how you perceive limits. Quantum philosophy reveals something extraordinary. Boundaries aren't as rigid as they appear. At the smallest scales of existence, what we think of as fixed is fluid, undefined, waiting for interaction to take shape. The universe doesn't impose limits nearly as often as we convince ourselves it does. Think of the famous double-slit experiment again. Particles can behave like waves or like solid matter depending entirely on how they're observed. Before measurement, their possibilities remain wide open. After, they collapse into one reality. Your life works much the same way. Every belief you hold acts like a measurement, collapsing your vast potential into a narrow path. When you cling to the idea that you can't, that something is impossible, you're not describing reality, you're defining it. We inherit most of our limits without question. They come from parents, teachers, culture, and collective fears, disguised as absolute truths. That's not realistic. People like us don't do things like that. Be practical. But practical according to whom? What you call a fact about yourself is often just a thought you've rehearsed so many times it feels immovable. Yet quantum principles remind us that even particles, the building blocks of reality itself, remain flexible until we decide otherwise. Nelson Mandela once said, "It always seems impossible until it's done." This is not just motivational rhetoric, it reflects a deeper truth. Limits dissolve the moment you approach them differently. When you stop defining yourself by what has been and start aligning with what could be, possibilities multiply. Suddenly, doors appear where there were walls, and obstacles transform into gateways to growth. This isn't about blind optimism or ignoring genuine challenges. It's about understanding that your perception isn't neutral. Your thoughts and emotions interact with the field around you, shaping your experience whether you realize it or not. Every time you decide, "This is who I am," or "This is how life works," you make a measurement, and reality collapses to match. Change the measurement, and the result changes too. Of course, embracing this truth can feel unsettling. There's a strange comfort in believing your life is limited because it absolves you of responsibility. If everything is fixed, you can't fail. But you also can't grow. The collapse of limits requires courage, the willingness to step into uncertainty, to trust possibilities you can't yet see, and to rewrite stories that have shaped you for years. When you start questioning these narratives, life begins to expand. The obstacles you feared lose their solidity. The patterns that kept you small start to dissolve. You recognize that your role isn't to control every detail but to choose which potentials you align with. And with each conscious choice, you shift the trajectory of your experience. Limits aren't broken in one grand gesture. They dissolve through awareness, intention, and persistence. Every time you entertain a thought that stretches beyond what you believed was possible, you open the door to a new version of yourself. You collapse old realities and invite new ones into being. This is the power quantum philosophy offers: to see beyond appearances, to question the permanence of your circumstances, and to engage with life as a field of possibility rather than a fixed script. The boundaries you've accepted are rarely imposed by the universe. More often, they're self-authored, which means they can be rewritten. You are not trapped. You are choosing, moment by moment, the edges of your reality. And the moment you realize this, those edges begin to disappear. Chapter 6: The Flow of Consciousness. Have you ever stopped to notice the constant stream of thoughts running through your mind? They appear, collide, and dissolve, creating the lens through which you experience life. Most people assume these thoughts are harmless, random bursts of mental noise, but quantum philosophy suggests otherwise. Consciousness isn't just a private experience contained within your head. It's an active force interacting with the universe around you. What you focus on doesn't just shape your perception, it influences the probabilities unfolding in real time. Every thought is energy, and energy seeks resonance. This isn't mystical wishful thinking, it's physics. On the quantum level, particles respond to patterns of vibration, aligning with frequencies that match. Similarly, the mental states you repeatedly dwell in set the tone for what you notice, attract, and create. When your mind is consumed by fear or doubt, you're tuning yourself to realities that mirror those feelings. When you cultivate gratitude, creativity, and openness, you align with possibilities you might have otherwise overlooked. Yet most of us live on autopilot, unaware of the power we hold. Our attention scatters, pulled by distraction after distraction, while our unconscious patterns quietly decide the shape of our lives. We replay old stories, relive past failures, and anticipate future problems, rarely stopping to question whether those loops are necessary. But if thought interacts with the quantum field, if consciousness helps shape outcomes, then directing your awareness becomes the most important act you can take. Mahatma Gandhi once said, "A man is but the product of his thoughts. What he thinks, he becomes." This isn't just philosophy, it reflects a principle echoed in quantum mechanics. Observers influence systems simply by engaging with them. If your thoughts are the observers of your personal reality, then every belief and expectation is subtly sculpting the form your life takes. You are constantly collapsing possibilities into experience, whether intentionally or unconsciously. Becoming aware of this flow doesn't mean controlling every thought, that would be impossible. Instead, it's about learning to notice without judgment and gently guiding your awareness towards states that serve you. When you step out of autopilot and begin consciously choosing your focus, the changes ripple outward. You start seeing options where you once saw limitations. You notice opportunities that seemed invisible before. The universe hasn't changed, you've simply tuned yourself to a different frequency of possibility. This shift begins with presence. The more you practice returning your attention to the moment, the more power you reclaim from outdated patterns. A single mindful breath interrupts the spiral of unconscious thought and opens a window into choice. From there, you begin to witness the creative nature of consciousness in real time. You start recognizing how a shift in perspective, however small, subtly rearranges the way reality responds. Consciousness isn't separate from the world, it is the thread weaving everything together. The more aware you become of its role, the more intentionally you can work with it. You stop being a passive passenger and step into the role of co-creator. It's not about forcing outcomes or bending life to your will, but about aligning your inner state with the experiences you wish to invite. At every moment, countless futures exist in potential. The flow of your consciousness determines which ones solidify into form. When you allow your thoughts to drift aimlessly, you surrender that creative power to habit and chance. But when you choose awareness, you participate in shaping a reality that reflects who you truly are. You are not simply observing life, you are influencing it. The flow of consciousness is the quiet current beneath everything you experience. Learn to direct it, and the possibilities expand beyond anything you've been taught to expect. Chapter 7: The Frequency of Reality. What if the universe is less like a solid structure and more like a song, one that changes its melody depending on the frequency you're tuned to? Quantum philosophy suggests exactly that. At the deepest level, reality isn't built from matter but from vibrations, subtle patterns of energy interacting in ways we are only beginning to understand. Everything you see, touch, and feel, including you, is composed of frequencies resonating together. And here's the radical part. The vibration you hold within yourself influences the version of reality you experience. Think of tuning a radio. The station doesn't suddenly appear when you find the right frequency. It was always there, waiting. The same is true of possibilities in your life. Every outcome already exists in potential, but your personal signal determines which one you connect with. When you dwell on fear, anger, or scarcity, you attune yourself to realities that mirror those feelings. When you cultivate curiosity, gratitude, and joy, you begin to resonate with entirely different possibilities. This isn't abstract theory, it's supported by how particles behave on the quantum scale. Systems exchange energy constantly, and their states synchronize when they resonate. You do the same with your environment. The thoughts you think, the emotions you feel, the intentions you hold, all of them carry measurable energy that interacts with the field around you. As Nikola Tesla once said, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Most people never realize they're transmitting a signal at all. They move through life believing events happen to them, unaware that their inner state subtly draws matching experiences closer. Frustration creates more resistance. Hopelessness invites more limitation. But when you shift your internal frequency, when you embody the feelings connected to the life you want, reality begins to rearrange itself in response. The external world mirrors the internal one, not the other way around. This doesn't mean ignoring pain or pretending challenges don't exist. It means becoming conscious of what you amplify. Every reaction sends a ripple into the field, and over time, those ripples form patterns. Start noticing the patterns you've been repeating unconsciously. Are they aligned with where you want to go, or are they reinforcing where you've been? The moment you ask this question honestly, you create space for change. Shifting frequency begins with awareness, but it deepens with practice. What you focus on expands, and your body responds to the emotions you generate. When you choose gratitude, your physiology changes. When you visualize possibility, your nervous system calibrates to it. You become a participant in shaping outcomes rather than a spectator watching them unfold. Even small shifts matter. A single decision to hold a higher perspective creates subtle ripples that compound over time. Reality is not static. It's responsive, adaptive, alive. The field of possibility surrounding you rearranges itself based on the energy you bring to it. When you begin to understand this, you stop chasing outcomes and start embodying the version of yourself that naturally attracts them. You no longer struggle to make things happen, because you recognize that resonance does the work for you. The universe, in this sense, is less like a puzzle to be solved and more like a song to be played. The melody you hear depends on the note you strike within yourself. Change your frequency, and you change the way life responds. Every thought is a vibration. Every emotion is a signal. Every belief tunes you to a reality already waiting for you. You are not separate from the music of existence, you are part of the harmony shaping it. And the more consciously you choose your note, the more aligned your world becomes. Chapter 8. The Mirror of Reality. Have you ever noticed how life has a way of reflecting back exactly where you are inside? It shows up in patterns, relationships, challenges, and even coincidences, as though the world around you is quietly responding to your inner state. Quantum philosophy offers an explanation for this phenomenon. Reality doesn't exist as something separate from you. It mirrors you. It rearranges itself based on your perceptions, your beliefs, and the energy you carry into each moment. You are not just experiencing reality, you're helping create it. At the quantum level, there is no rigid separation between the observer and the observed. The very act of looking, choosing, and focusing alters the outcome. When you approach life expecting difficulty, you unconsciously seek evidence to confirm it, collapsing potential into the version you feared. When you hold a belief in possibility, you begin to notice opportunities where others see dead ends. The external world echoes your internal assumptions more often than most people realize. This isn't about blame, it's about awareness. Most of the signals you're broadcasting aren't deliberate. They're formed by years of conditioning, old stories, and inherited beliefs about what's possible. Without realizing it, you keep repeating patterns because your unconscious mind keeps looking for familiar outcomes. But the moment you recognize the mirror, everything changes. You stop mistaking reflection for fate and begin choosing what you project. Life doesn't punish or reward you, it responds to you. Every thought, every expectation, every emotional state contributes to the pattern forming around you. If you carry frustration, you meet resistance. If you hold gratitude, doors open with less effort. These shifts aren't magic, they are resonance. On the quantum scale, systems match each other's states when they interact. Your consciousness works the same way. The vibration you sustain influences the versions of reality you experience. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." This is one of the central principles of quantum philosophy. What you assume without questioning shapes what you perceive without realizing. The mirror of reality reflects not just your conscious desires but the deeper, hidden scripts you're carrying. If you want to create something new, you must first see what you've been unconsciously projecting. Begin by paying attention to patterns. Notice recurring themes in your relationships, your finances, your opportunities. These loops are not random. They're signposts showing you where your energy and focus have been. Once you see them, you can choose differently. Small internal shifts ripple outward. When you hold a vision of possibility instead of fear, you collapse reality into new outcomes. When you act from clarity rather than reaction, you open pathways that didn't exist before. This doesn't mean you control every detail of life. Uncertainty is part of the design. But by becoming aware of the connection between your inner world and the mirror outside you, you move from reacting blindly to participating consciously. You begin to notice how your energy shapes experience, and how your choices fine-tune the field of possibilities around you. Reality isn't fixed, it's dynamic, alive, and deeply responsive. The more responsibility you take for the reflection you're projecting, the more intentional your life becomes. You stop chasing change in the external world and begin shifting at the source, within yourself. Look closely at the mirror, not with judgment but with curiosity. Every reflection is feedback, and every moment offers a choice. You are shaping more than you know, and the universe is listening more closely than you think. Chapter 9. Beyond Linear Time. What if time doesn't flow the way you've been taught to believe? From the moment we're born, we inherit the idea that life unfolds in a straight line, past, present, future, neatly separated like beads on a string. But quantum philosophy challenges this familiar story, suggesting that time is not absolute but fluid, layered, and far more intertwined than our senses perceive. At the smallest scales of existence, particles don't behave as though time moves forward. They move backward, forward, and sideways, existing across possibilities that defy our traditional understanding. If the quantum world refuses to obey the rules of linear time, could your experience of life be just as flexible? You've felt hints of this before. That déjà vu moment when a new experience feels strangely familiar. The way a sudden thought about someone precedes their unexpected call. Those subtle flashes where the boundaries of past, present, and future blur suggest that your awareness is tapping into more than the clock measures. Time, as you experience it, may be more like a construct, a framework your mind uses to make sense of unfolding events. Beyond that framework lies a deeper reality where all possibilities already coexist. Albert Einstein once remarked, "The distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion." If that's true, then the future isn't something waiting to arrive. It's something you're already influencing now. Every choice, thought, and intention sends ripples into fields of probability, shaping which version of the future you step into. Your actions today don't just create tomorrow, they align you with timelines where your desired outcomes already exist. Most of us live as though the past defines us and the future controls us. But quantum philosophy offers another path. You are not bound to a single storyline dictated by what came before. The self you've always been and the self you can become are connected, entangled across dimensions of possibility. Changing your perception now doesn't rewrite your history, it reframes it. Your past stops being a weight and becomes a resource, a set of choices and lessons feeding into new potentials. This doesn't mean ignoring your experiences or pretending they never happened. It means understanding that you're free to reinterpret them. Every moment carries meaning because you give it meaning, and by shifting the story you attach to the past, you change the version of yourself moving forward. Suddenly, doors that once felt closed begin to open. The timeline isn't fixed, it's pliable, reshaping itself in response to your awareness. Living beyond linear time also transforms how you relate to the present. When you understand that infinite futures already exist, the now becomes more than a fleeting instant, it becomes your point of power. Each moment is a crossroads where countless possibilities converge. When you choose consciously, you participate in sculpting the path ahead rather than drifting along one by default. Of course, this perspective can feel disorienting. We're conditioned to trust the clock, to measure progress in hours and days, to believe that time slips away like sand through our fingers. But the quantum view invites you to release that scarcity mindset. If possibilities already exist, then you are never running out of time. You are aligning with it. Step into the awareness that your past doesn't limit you, your future isn't predetermined, and the present moment holds far more creative power than you've been taught to believe. When you begin living beyond linear time, you stop chasing life, and life begins meeting you where you are. Chapter 10: The Hidden Architecture of Choice. Every decision you make, no matter how small, ripples through the fabric of reality. Quantum philosophy suggests that choice is not just about selecting between options, it's about shaping which version of reality you experience. At the most fundamental level, particles exist in multiple potential states until they are observed. Similarly, your life holds countless possibilities until you choose, collapsing one outcome into form while others remain in the background, waiting. Most people underestimate this power. They see choice as something limited, deciding what to eat for breakfast, which career path to follow, or whether to take a risk. But beneath these actions lies a subtler layer, the energy behind your decisions. When you act out of fear, you collapse possibilities aligned with limitation. When you act from clarity and trust, you align with futures that reflect those states. The quality of your choices is inseparable from the state of consciousness in which you make them. Yet many of us move through life unconsciously, repeating patterns handed down by family, culture, and personal history. We make choices based on outdated beliefs about who we are and what's possible, unaware that we're continuously selecting from the same narrow spectrum of probabilities. To change your life, you must first change how you choose. Awareness comes before transformation. Steve Jobs once said, "You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backward." Quantum philosophy adds a twist to this idea. While you may not always see the bigger picture now, each conscious choice plants you on a trajectory where the dots eventually align. What feels like coincidence or chance later is often the unfolding of patterns you set in motion long before. The hidden architecture of choice reveals that there are no truly insignificant moments. The thoughts you nurture, the beliefs you hold, and the intentions you set are all quiet decisions shaping how reality arranges itself around you. Every time you choose courage over hesitation, growth over comfort, or curiosity over judgment, you step into a slightly different version of yourself, and with it, a slightly different version of the world. Of course, uncertainty will always be part of the process. You'll never have perfect information, and quantum principles remind us that outcomes remain probabilities until they unfold. But this uncertainty isn't a limitation, it's freedom. It means your future isn't locked, and your potential isn't fixed. It means you can pivot, realign, and consciously influence the trajectory of your life no matter where you begin. The most transformative choices often feel small in the moment. Choosing to believe you're capable. Choosing to forgive yourself. Choosing to act when you'd normally hesitate. These micro-decisions shift your inner state, and that shift begins shaping what you encounter. Over time, the field of possibility around you reorganizes to reflect the identity you've stepped into. You're not merely reacting to life, you're participating in its design. Choice, at its essence, is creative. Every decision sends a signal, a vibration, into the quantum field, aligning you with certain experiences while closing off others. When you choose unconsciously, you drift into realities shaped by habit and fear. When you choose deliberately, you open doors you didn't know existed. The hidden architecture of choice is always at work, whether you acknowledge it or not. The question is whether you'll use it intentionally. Every moment offers a chance to step into alignment with a deeper truth about who you are and what's possible. You hold more influence than you realize, and the power of that awareness lies in your next choice. Choose consciously. Choose fully. Because with every decision, you are shaping the version of reality you'll soon call your life. Chapter 11: Becoming the Creator. There comes a moment when you realize you are not simply a character moving through a predetermined script, you are the one writing it. Quantum philosophy points toward this truth again and again. You are not separate from reality. You are inseparable from its creation. Every thought, every choice, every intention interacts with the field of possibility, shaping which version of life you experience. To live unconsciously is to drift through probabilities without direction. To awaken is to step into your role as creator. The power you hold isn't about forcing reality to obey your commands. It's subtler and far more profound. Creation begins not with control but with alignment. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions resonate with the outcomes you desire, you enter into harmony with the possibilities that match your state. The universe doesn't respond to demands, it responds to frequency. Becoming the creator is about embodying the version of yourself that already lives the life you want, allowing reality to reflect that identity back to you. Most of us have been taught the opposite. We're conditioned to see ourselves as victims of circumstance, at the mercy of events beyond our influence. We wait for external changes to grant us permission to feel fulfilled, secure, or free. But quantum principles remind us that cause and effect are not as linear as we've been led to believe. Change begins within and ripples outward. The version of reality you experience mirrors who you believe you are and what you expect to be true. This doesn't mean ignoring challenges or pretending pain doesn't exist. It means approaching life as an active participant rather than a passive observer. When setbacks arise, you can choose to interpret them as barriers or invitations to grow. When uncertainty unfolds, you can resist it or lean into the possibilities hidden within it. Every response you choose influences the trajectory you step into next. As Viktor Frankl once wrote, between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. That space is where creation happens. The more aware you become of it, the more deliberately you can shape your reality. No single decision defines your life, but each decision sends ripples into the field, aligning you with certain timelines over others. Becoming the creator also requires trust, not blind faith, but a willingness to act even when the outcome isn't guaranteed. Quantum philosophy reminds us that uncertainty is not failure, it's potential. You are constantly surrounded by futures waiting to unfold. When you choose to act in alignment with your highest vision, you collapse possibilities into form, step by step, moment by moment. Living as the creator doesn't mean controlling every detail. It means surrendering the illusion of control while embracing the responsibility of participation. You influence reality not by micromanaging outcomes but by aligning who you are with what you wish to experience. In doing so, you shift the field around you, attracting opportunities, connections, and insights that resonate with your state of being. There is no final destination where creation ends. It is an ongoing process, a dance between your consciousness and the infinite potential surrounding you. With each breath, you are shaping the story you're living. With each choice, you step into a reality that reflects the signals you've been sending all along. You are not small. You are not powerless. You are a co-author in the unfolding of existence itself. The field is listening. The possibilities are endless. And the story waiting to be written is yours. So take the pen. Choose deliberately. Create consciously. Reality is ready to meet you where you decide to stand. Take her care and be well.